Were we doing beatings today? I didn't know we were doing beatings today.
Beatings all day, every day.
This whole thing's messed up. We gotta go to police. And tell them what? Mom hired her uncle to kill a mobster who kidnapped Dad? Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Come on! Eli, you're living Mom and Dad's dream. Don't you ever want to do something for yourself?
It's a bag of money! 50-50, okay?
Don't be a wingless bird, Eli. Don't!
What the hell is that?
It's the Rune Star. Amira just bought it for $8 million.
The big boss wants you and your brother to help us.
You're gonna steal that, aren't you?
If you do all of this, she's gonna kill you. If you don't do all of this, she's still going to kill you.
Nick, she has my money.
Listen to yourself, Eli! We're not criminals! It's too dangerous! Go! Loyalty.
No, don't!
Your brothers. Never forget you have each other. Never.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Things I Do for Money. Cooped-up Creatives, welcome. Cooped-up Creatives has been off the air. You can kind of see it over my shoulder here. We're on day 130 with the cast and crew of our movie, Things I Do for Money. Just want to go around. I have no idea where everybody is on the Zooms, but let's go around and introduce ourselves. So just introduce yourselves, say your names, say a little bit of something about Things to Do for Money, okay? So Max and Theo, you go first.
All right, hello. My name is Maximilian Aoki.
Hi, I'm Theodore Aoki.
We both play the brothers Yaguchi in the film Things I Do for Money. I'm Nick.
And I'm Eli.
And, in real life, we play the cello. We play together. We're brothers. We're from Hamilton. But this movie, Things I Do for Money, is also about two brothers who are also Japanese-Canadian, play the cello, and they're from Hamilton. And just such a cool crime caper that we got to be a part of. And this whole team got to meet them 2 years ago, and it's been crazy.
It's been a crazy experience. And we're excited that we're going to be showing y'all this tomorrow.
How long did you practice that? That was perfect. That was great. That was a perfect introduction.
We intentionally practiced nothing.
Yoda, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Yoda Terderos. I play Laura Mickle in Things I Do for Money. I'm basically their partner in crime. I'm a figure skater. I'm a heist organizer. And somehow I managed to do those things in real life, besides all the crime stuff. But yeah.
And this is your first acting experience ever, right?
First ever, yes.
And you're fantastic in it. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to go to my Japanese brothers in arms. Maybe Rhett, you can introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, my name's Rhett Morita. I play Tasha Gucci in the film, the father of those two troublesome boys over there. It was also, as Warren said, my first film as well, so it's an incredible experience.
Not your first film, my friend. Your first
acting
starring
film.
role
Correct.
In a film.
The
You've
first time
made
on the
many
other
movies.
side of camera.
That's
Yes,
right.
correct.
Rhett, a quiz question. Are you an award-winning world-class cinematographer as well?
Shh, keep it down, Warren. That's my secret job. That's my behind-the-scenes secret job. But yes. Thank you.
Well, we were lucky to have you in front of the camera for this. Ironically, we actually do have Max and Theo's father, who plays their uncle in a very bold casting choice. Ed, you want to introduce yourself, man?
Hi, yes. Hi, I'm Edward Aoki. I play just Jimmy. I play the uncle to Eli and Nick, who are in real life actually my sons. I don't know how I got the role, but I'm really grateful for it. It was my first experience with anything to do with film, and it was a really terrifying one a lot of times.
Not too terrifying, because where do you actually work? You work in a military school?
I work at a military academy for boys who need a little more help.
Right, and it's a little bit of a different side of you that we get to see in the movie in terms of you acting, but you're a very creative soul, my friend.
Thank you, Warren.
And mostly we needed a parent and guardian on set as well for Max and Theo, and it was good to have you there for that.
Awesome experience.
Colette, right across the pond. I'm going to go to you next, just because I know it's very late in London, England. But maybe if you can introduce yourself to the world.
Hi, I'm Colette Zaka. I play Brenda, the wicked mobster. Yeah, and that's kind of about it.
Well, it's not just about it, because a lot of people in the UK will know you from a very famous campaign that's going on right now for Sloggy, where you also play one of the fiercest grannies I've ever seen. But in this movie, you came all the way to Toronto, or to Canada, and to Hamilton to play Brenda, and we were really, really thrilled. Did you enjoy yourself when you were over here in Ontario?
Oh, I had a blast. I loved it. Who can't love Brenda? I mean, she's the best kind of character to play, because you can be everything in Brenda. You can be sweet old lady in a wheelchair, and all of these other things, and then just be at the back of it all. So what wasn't to love about her? And the crew and everybody else, it was so lovely. I really enjoyed my time very much.
Well, Colette, I just want you to know we sold out the drive-in theater tomorrow night in Hamilton. I want people going to the drive-in theater tomorrow night to clock Colette's voice during this Cooped-up Creatives, because you're going to see a different side of Colette, and just Jimmy as well. So thank you, Colette, for joining us. Daxatillion, Daxlow, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Sure, Warren. Hi, everyone. My name is Daxlow, and I play Alex Raduli, a bad guy in this.
Alexi, it's been too long.
Yeah, Alexi.
It's been too long since you.
Sorry, I misspoke. Alexi Raduli. Yeah, it was a great experience. I can't say enough great things about Warren and the crew and all of the other actors in this project. It was just so much fun. And I can't wait for everyone to see it.
A little bit of trivia. Dax and I started in music videos back in the late 90s when you would be my first AD, and we would go out and shoot, 2-3 music videos a month. It was a lot of fun, but it's great to have you in front of the camera on Things to Do for Money. Getting through this now, Danilo, can you, sir, smooth operator, introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your character Gonzo that you play.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Danilo Reyes. I played Gonzo in the movie. Yeah, it was a really good experience playing Gonzo. He's on the one hand part of this kind of evil crime family, but on the other hand, he's always trying to keep things in line. He's kind of the cool cat in the whole thing. So it was really fun, kind of playing that contrasting position with Dax, with Alexi, because we were side by side and we were partners in the film.
And it was a really nice sort of 1-2 sort of counterpunch to each other, which was nice to see in the film. Okay, Jennifer, I showed up at the Creative Theatre Company steps on Fennell Avenue in Hamilton, Ontario, when I was like 16 or something. Yep. And I walked into your studio and I said, what can I do? And ever since then, I've been trying to make a movie so that you could star in it. Welcome. Can you introduce yourself to the world here?
Yeah, amazing. I'm Jennifer Walton, and I had the great honor of being in Warren's film. I got to play the mom, Mary Yaguchi, who's, just your average, normal, everyday mom trying to
launder
do the best
money
thing she can for her kids and her family, protect the family, laundering money. Yeah, a little bit of crime stuff, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
And you also ran a creative theater company in Hamilton, and we did a audition boot camp. It feels like 10 years ago, but it was like the summer before we made Things to Do, which was now 2 years ago. And you many of your students came out to be in the film, right?
That's right. There's a lot of our students in various roles and backgrounds, and making smaller appearances, and even my niece makes an appearance at the end as well.
Right.
So yeah, it was great, and of course my business partner plays the teacher
Claudette.
as well. So
yes.
yeah.
Who we'll do a whole other Zoom with the Creative Theater Company team after the movie is out on August 11th. So we do a little watch party with everybody. That'll be fun.
Good.
Okay, now we're going to go into the crew side of things. My partner in crime, the co-writer, co-executive producer, guy that found himself making a movie out of nothing and nowhere. Gary, do you want to talk about who you are and how you came to this project?
Sure. My name's Gary Nolan. I came to the project because I sort of introduced Warren to Max and Theo because I saw them at the school I work at.
You knew Alicia, their mom, right?
Yeah, I work with their mom. And right after I saw them, they performed at the school I teach at. And right after I saw them, I told Warren that he should do something with them. Like I think you were still making videos at the time, Warren. I don't know if you were still making them, but you'd obviously made a ton of them. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to sort of showcase these guys.
Do a little music video or something with them.
Yeah, and then Warren, well, didn't you not phone them for 2 years?
I reached out to them. You told me to reach out to Max Theo, and I did within a couple months, which is pretty good for me.
Right.
They immediately responded, I think, within the hour, and then I ghosted them for about 2 years.
Right.
But Max and Theo, Gary and I did come back to you with an entire feature film script for you.
Right. So, yeah. So I mean, this whole things I do for money concept, you and I have had it for forever. And we talked about it and thought that we'd like to do something with Max and Theo. And so we structured the storyline around two crime-based cello players. And that's...
Well, we've always loved crime movies. We've always loved the Fargos, the Old Country, No Country for Old Men, sort of the dark comedies. And Gary and I knew each other from the Keg in Hamilton. We're ex-keggers. And I just felt bad that I had made 10 movies and Gary and I had written about 20 scripts together, but none of those movies were written by me and Gary. So I decided, damn it, we're going to make a movie. And come hell or high water, next summer, this was like the summer of 2017 now, so the summer of 2018, we're going to make a movie. And then I immediately turned to my producer team, which I'm about to introduce, and said, let's do this. I'm going to first go to Avi Fettergreen because he has a fish right beside him, and I'm just wondering, what can that be right there, sir? Oh, you have to turn off your mutes. You got the first Mutie Award. You have to turn off your little microphone there, man. What is that?
This is the best. I think it's a special jury prize for Things I Do for Money at the Bayou Film Festival in
Cinema on the Bayou, Louisiana, right. Lafayette, Louisiana.
Where Gary, Max, and Theo, and Warren and I went in January, pre-COVID, to have some Cajun and some awesome Louisiana music and show our film to the lovely people there. And we walked away with a fish.
Can you hold up the bass just so everybody can see it? This is so really this is the first time this entire cast of crew has had a chance to have basically a reunion. Some of you were able to come out to Whistler, but not many of you were able to get down to Louisiana with us. And this is your award, so everybody can just kind of grab it and take it with them if they want. Avi, just do you want to introduce yourself a little bit as the one of the 4 amazing producers of Things I Do for Money?
Avi Fettergreen, producer, distributor, director.
Yes, director now.
Chief bottle washer. Big fan of the other producers on this show, Jen Pogue, Emily Andrews, and Laura Norton. I forever live in their shadows. I've been bugging Warren forever to make a film, and I'm grateful that I got an opportunity to be involved in this one, and I'm super proud of it. And to be able to work with this talented group of cast and crew, when you all see it, it'll blow your minds.
Well, let's go to Film Coop now, who was sort of the producing geniuses on the floor in Hamilton. Let's go to Laura, Mama Laura, and Oslo first, just for the introductions, because you have such a beautiful baby, and this is new since we made the movie, right?
Yes, this is new since yes. Yeah, she was not on set. I'm Laura Norton, and I'm part of Film Coop, and this was just a blast to be part of. I've never made a heist movie, and it was really well, it was just a lot of fun.
And also, your expertise as an actor really helped Max and Theo. Max and Theo, what was it like learning, getting a crash course in acting from Laura Norton, the acting teacher?
Oh, that was amazing. We came down to Toronto, I guess 2 summers ago, just before we filmed, and Laura took us through all of the, miser techniques.
You're tested now. Do you remember?
Acting techniques, and a little bit of meditation, a little bit of like scene rehearsal, and she was amazing. It was really helpful for us.
Laura, straight goods. When Max and Theo showed up, were you scared when you first were like, these are the 2 stars of our movie and they never acted before in their lives? What was going through your mind when they came in for acting lessons?
I wasn't scared. I knew why you had chosen to like basically write this whole thing around them. They're wonderful people, number one, and then they're extremely talented. And so it was a lot of fun, actually. I wasn't worried.
Do you remember one lesson that in particular in your mind that they either nailed or did not do well in?
No. One of them where I was actually quite, I was surprised that they were able to go so deep emotionally. I thought that was really, really interesting, especially with a complete stranger.
Right.
They'd never met me before. And so, they're in my living room and we were doing the scene. I think it's like where they, who ties one of the other's tie or something. And it was just
the tie scene. Yeah.
It was really moving. And I remember we stopped and I was like, wow, guys. And they were like, really? It was okay?
What do we do? How do we do that again?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for getting them ready, because we'll see at the drive-in theater the handiwork that the 3 of you came up with a couple weeks before we went to camera. Your partner in crime in this heist movie is Emily. Emily, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Hi. My name is Emily Andrews, and I am one of the producers on this film, and I'm very proud to say it loud and proud and live. It was fantastic. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better time. We lived together, we breathed together, we created together.
This is pre-COVID, so it was okay to do
Yeah,
all
it was
those
okay.
things.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just such an exciting time. From the moment we said we're doing it and we pressed go, it was just all hands on deck and a collaborative effort, and every person went above and beyond on set and off set, everywhere. It was a very positive experience, and you can't say that for every film. You can't. I mean, you can like your projects, but I loved doing this with all of you.
Well, and it was intense, right? It was like a 13-day main unit shoot, 2 pickup days where I'm about to get to Christoph Benfi, who looks like he's been through a prize fight. But just while we have you, Emily and Laura, your company, Film Coop, this is not the first feature you've made many films together. Can you just tell me a little bit about Film Coop, and when this project came to you, it didn't really fit a lot of the things that you were doing, but what drew you to coming on board with it?
Well, I mean, there are many draws to it. And often when we're looking at different projects, I would say that, there's lots of factors that lead to us making a decision about being involved. But the script was great and fun, and I loved the mixing of genres personally. I mean, Warren, you're a legend, so we are excited to be able to work with you. And yeah, I also love the idea of being in Hamilton and shooting it for Hamilton. That's not really done often, and so that's some of the things that excited us to come on board. And I feel like we've been working with Jen for forever, but it was a recent partnership with Jen Pogue.
And then this was going to be the first film for Film Coop with Jen.
Yeah.
In the producer circle.
Yeah, like the first feature, obviously. Yeah, together with Jen.
Nice segue to Jen Pogue, who is waiting patiently for her turn. Jen, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen. I made the coffee and did some paperwork and terrorized the director whenever possible on things I do for money.
For those that don't know, Jen and I have been wonderfully married. We just got married.
Ring power.
Yes.
Yeah, things I do for money was our test to see if we wanted to get married or not afterwards. And yeah.
And now you want to get divorced.
Nothing could be harder than that. So.
And we got married in October, and we just our hearts go out to the couples that want to get married right now during the protocols. But part of the celebration of things I do for money is also the work that we did get together. Jen, do you want to say anything else about yourself?
Way to bring it down, Warren. Yeah, it was awesome. It was my first feature that I've ever been involved in. Had I known what I was getting myself into with like no money and no time to make a feature of this extremeness, it's probably good that I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but we did it and I could not be prouder of it. And of you, Warren, I know you worked night and day for years now for this film. So I'm very, very proud of you and of it.
Because I just won't come to bed sometimes. So.
It's true.
We got a lot of shout outs on the Facebook for East Van. Hey, Anna Catley, can you introduce yourself to your fans out there?
Hi, I'm Anna Catley. I was the editor for Things I Do for Money.
I'm not gonna your mom, I'm not gonna shout her out, but Rebecca, hey. But Keisha Rose says hi, Anna, and you got a lot going on right now. So
hi Keisha, hi mom, hi East Fan. Yeah, I was the editor. Since we're all talking about first, this is also my first feature that I edited, which I'm super happy about. I think it was an amazing first feature. This movie literally has everything. Shootouts, comedy, family drama. So it was awesome, and it was so great to work with Warren on it, and I'm so happy I got to do it.
If Things I Do for Money was your first feature, put up your hand. Let's just see. First feature film. Boom. I'm going to take a little screenshot of this. Wow, excellent. All right. Well, wait, one more time. 1, 2, 3. First feature club. Boom. Done. Anna, won't be your last feature. In fact, what are you working on right now? That you can talk about NDA wise.
That I can talk about. I just wrapped up editing a web series called Avocado Toast, which is on Out TV and Amazon Prime. And just kind of wrapping up a few other projects before I start something in September.
The wonderful thing is it's your first feature and you haven't stopped working since. So hopefully we can afford you for the next feature.
Definitely.
It's something that happens in the Kat Weber School of Editing where I just can't afford the editors anymore. So talking about first features, from the main title fights, Christoph Benfey, the DOP. Would you like to introduce yourself? Can you get a little close up of your face there, sir?
Sure.
Tell us
7
what happened to
stitches there.
Oh man.
Yeah. That one. A few makeup artists have asked me for like daily photo updates of what it looks like, so they can recreate it if they ever need to.
Right. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened to you, man? Tell the world.
Concrete. I ate the concrete. I won't go into more detail than that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Trying to get the perfect shot, I imagine.
I want to be still insurable, and I'm worried if I go into too much detail, I'll get.
I
dropped,
understand. I understand. No, it was fantastic to have you on Things I Do for Money. Your first feature. What went through your head when I asked you to do the impossible?
I think I was a little nervous about how eager you were. Like, I think you were excited when I told you it was my first feature, and you knew that you probably wouldn't be able to do something like this with a seasoned DP that would just have all these expectations. So, which I am now, a seasoned DP. I've shot a whole 3 features now, but no, it was like
you've shot 3 features since Things I Do for Money. You've shot another 2 features.
2 since, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I mean, it's been almost 2 years now. Surprisingly.
With who?
Yeah.
With who?
With Abby Fettergreen. Thank you, Abby. Yeah, Abby's been bringing me along, taking me under his wing ever since. But yeah, no, this was my first feature, and it was just a wild ride. I don't think we could have pulled it off without every single person who was there on the crew, like on the crew side of things, like the people who were working under me, in the grip and lighting and camera departments, but then also with you as the leader, kind of, always like running around and picking up C-stands and just like helping to move the ship forward. So it was an honor to work with you. And yeah, and I don't think we could have done it without the dynamic of the crew that we had, because it was a crazy 13 days.
Well, and the
But,
2 days that you and I ran around Hamilton trying to get establishing shots and everything.
that was a lot
Well,
of
your
fun.
crew, I mean, everybody from Nick Coffin to everybody on camera, grip, and lighting, just really Joe Crave, first AD, everybody, Lindsay wrote, the production designer, everybody just brought their
Picked
A
up their
game.
socks.
and it's one thing to go into a production knowing that everyone's done it before, but I think the beauty of this was a lot of us haven't done it before, and the ones that had didn't know how everyone was going to react. But I would like to just kind of open it up to the floor. Does everybody remember their first day on set? And maybe we'll go for the actors first. Let's ask Max and Theo about your first day on the set of Things I Do for Money. Do you remember anything memorable?
The first day, right?
Yeah, the first day, I remember we woke up at like 5 to get it on set on time. And then it was like me and Yoda running down alleyways, slipping on gravel in shoes that were a little too big for me. And then it's super hot. It was really uncomfortable. I remember that. It was like hectic. We did like 5 different scenes that day.
I told John Dunnett, the costume designer, make sure Theo's the most uncomfortable actor on set. That's who Eli should be, and John came through for us.
Well, yeah, I think it worked out. But yeah, it was super hectic, but it was an eye-opening experience. It was super cool to see.
What about you, Max? Your first day on a film set?
I remember my first day on the film set was the one where we have a scene together, and so it's a walking scene. I guess I'm not going to get too much into the depth of the plot there, but it was so crazy different to like, because I know like because we've been doing really small scale kind of music videos ourselves just for fun, like with an iPhone.
Check out Versacello on YouTube, and all of Max and Theo's videos are there. Go follow them. It's fantastic.
But then all of a sudden, you have a director, a bunch of producers, people like making sure you're not sweating too much, and then cameras are rolling. They're huge, and I even remember like my first full day on set being in the in more of a bar scene,
right?
And
at This Ain't Hollywood.
At This Ain't Hollywood,
yeah, which unfortunately has closed now. So tip our hats to This Ain't Hollywood, and it was a wonderful location to shoot in. But was it weird for you? You've both been sort of on tour. You've played performances. You've been around the entertainment industry. What was different about your first day on set?
It's different having a bunch of cameras on you, and you know that when you're going for that take, you're either you get it or we're going to be spending a lot more time than necessary in one day that's already jam packed. So stressful but amazing.
Yoda, your first day on set, and in fact, maybe back it up a little bit in terms of, do you remember getting the casting call for Things I Do for Money?
Remember, like it was yesterday.
Do you remember what? Like, can you tell me a little bit about what you thought when you saw it, and describe what the casting call was?
For the casting call, I remember just receiving an email asking for skaters in the area, and specifically African like skaters, and I was like,
Black
okay,
skater, yeah.
Like I will be there. And yeah, then once I sent in my video, got a call back. I remember immediately after my in-person audition, Warren and everyone was just like, okay, you got it. And I couldn't even believe it. I was waiting for the cameras to come out and be like, okay, psych, prank. No, like next person actually got it. Like, don't worry. But yeah, like it was an amazing experience. I couldn't believe that my first audition ever, my first feature ever.
I remember what you told me because we wrote Laura in the film specifically because we wanted the grace of figure skaters. Gary, you can chime in whenever you want in terms of like we were looking for a counterpoint to all the action. But do you remember what you said to me, Yoda, about finding a black figure skater, especially? You basically said, Warren, if you didn't find me, you weren't going to. I'm the one, and we were so lucky. that you came in. So do you remember your first day on set?
I do remember my first day on set. It was the alley scene with Theo, and I just remember no matter how early it was, the sun and the sweat and just the patience of you, everyone with sound, makeup, hair, everyone was just like making me feel so comfortable. That's I think what I remembered the most was just like how patient everyone was with me.
Colette, you flew in and were kind of thrown in the deep end. We had a couple of days of rehearsal, which was great. But do you remember that day on set, that first day on set that you had? I believe it was at the auto shop, right?
No.
Oh.
I think the first one was in the car.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And then we probably did the bingo scene, maybe.
No, then the auto
I
shop.
can't remember. Okay, so what? You tell me what your first day on set was like, because I completely forget.
So, well, my first day, I was aware of the time scale.
Right.
I was aware that everything was being cracked, So for me, it was just remember your lines. You've come all this way. Don't mess up. Just remember your lines. So and so I was just that focused on it and sort of just feeling my way because I was with people I didn't, it wasn't like we'd done a rehearsal, normal filming rehearsal, we'd gone in, I'd met the boys and I'd met Yodit, but I hadn't met anybody else. And so it was a little bit like, a little bit treading water, but it didn't last for long. And then it was, and then everybody was just friends and it could just get on with the job.
Well, the highlight for me was your performance in the bingo scene. You had the most patience, and people going to the drive-in tomorrow night will see this sort of, it's the center point scene. It happens kind of in the middle of the film, and it's a tour de force of Colette as Brenda trying to rule the roost in Hamilton's underworld. So thank you for that. Okay, so Rhett and Ed, I'm not gonna ask you about your first day. I'm gonna ask you about the Japanese scene. And if both of you can kind of just talk about it and riff off each other. To put it in context, so Ed and Rhett and myself are what we call, we're all Sansei, right? We're all third generation Japanese Canadians.
That's
we
right.
We don't speak Japanese. Like the Sansei kind of were assimilated as quick as possible into the Canadian culture. So, I don't know about your family, but so I didn't get bullied and I didn't get beat up. And I certainly wasn't taught how to speak Japanese because I was trying to be Canadian at the time. So when you were offered this role and you're flipping through the pages of the script and then you see a scene and it says, oh, this will be in Japanese. What went through your mind, Rhett and Ed? Rhett, maybe you first.
Okay, well, I did mention this at the Whistler Film Festival because it was the one most scary, momentous event in the entire film for me was the Japanese scene that I would do with Ed. Being a non-speaking Japanese person who looks Japanese, trying to fake my Japanese, even though I'd had about 3 weeks of training of trying to learn this scene phonetically because I didn't understand 90% of the words. So I know for myself, Ed, I don't think we've talked much about this, that was the most confrontational, scary moment ever in my entire life, was trying to get through a scene speaking a language that I only have heard maybe 10% of those words even before spoken. I don't know if you want to add anything, Ed, definitely.
Yeah, because like when I grew up, I heard Japanese around me. My parents were talking about me. I didn't know what they were talking about.
But our parents don't know perfect Japanese. I think that's what everybody needs to know. They my parents spoke a BC slang of Japanese, where they would bring in sort of Hakushin words and make them. And there's this one word that they kept saying when the boys acted up. They would go Yoshoharu, Yoshoharu. And I think that just means, oh, you're acting up. What I found out is it was Yoshi Haru, and it was this kid who used to act up, and then they used that as the verb of acting up. So like my conception of Japanese is all kind of fucked up. So
I know, but when I saw the script and I saw the Japanese in there, I thought, okay, no, this could be possible. Like I am Japanese, but then being introduced to Alina Miyake.
Yes.
And when I say it was terrifying, she was the terrifying part, right? Because like being like on Skype and having the coaching done, and she could hear things that I just could not hear.
Yes.
But she took me through it. She was fantastic.
And Rhett, you had Hidetaka, right, as your
Yes, Hidetaka.
coach, yeah. And then Young came in at the end to help out as well. But yeah, Ed, what was it like, man?
It was one. You're saying something. I'm saying something to Rhett, and I'm angry, but I don't know what I'm saying. Right? I have an idea what I'm saying, but I don't know which the words are or what I'm saying, and I'm trying to read his reactions as well too. It was interesting. It was like made me want to study Japanese. But gee, maybe I should study Japanese. Great experience, terrifying experience, but I had great coaches, fantastic coaches to coach me through.
It's a daunting thing for professional actors, for veteran actors to learn an entirely new language. But for Rhett and Ed, who had never starred in a movie, Ed, you've never acted before in your life, to do that, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Something that I wanted to ask Dax and Danilo, your scenes are all together usually, and there's a lot of stuff happening between Gonzo and Alexi throughout the film. Did you guys work on your own, rehearsing at all to get into it, or what was the process for both of you?
Dax, why don't you go first?
Well, I was just waiting to see if you jumped in, but thank you, Danilo. I think that rapport, Warren, that Danilo and I had from the get-go, when we would have some of the pre-rehearsals at your house, really established a good little just open friendship for us. And since then we've become friends, and I think that translates on screen. It was really great working with Danilo. He's really understated and just there, really supportive, and all of the physical stuff that we had to do in the film, you'll see when you watch it. But Danilo was just amazing to work with in that regard.
What was it like, Danilo?
Yeah, I mean, similar sentiments. It's we didn't, other than the rehearsals that we had with you, we didn't necessarily work on things outside of that, and I think we just let the moments happen when we were together, and there was a rapport, you know, and during the shoot and even afterwards, I learned a lot from Dax, and he's you know, just has a lot of knowledge about film and acting, and I'm thankful for the help that he gave me in that sense. So yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah.
Likewise, brother.
I can't wait for the drive-in audience to see your relationship in the movie progress throughout and have a wonderful moment, an unfortunate moment. Okay, so Mom, Jennifer Walton, you been able to come on board this feature film shoot, and when you got onto set, what was your first day on set like?
I remember driving like a maniac around the cotton factory, and I think you wanted maximum speed and some tire squealing, and so I think that was maybe the first thing I shot that day, and I thought, oh, this is going to be such a wild ride, and you know, it was both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, for the people at home, it was safe, it was completely controlled, you weren't in the middle of traffic, but you were able to
there was like, no traffic.
Yeah, but you know, it was a sense of play that I felt both you and Claudette were able to have. Do you remember what was the hardest scene for you to shoot?
I think the hardest scene was at the hotel, and I think it was physical. By the end of it, I was covered in some bruises, just because, you know, it was all in, and it was really, it's a really dramatic scene. there's a lot of emotion there. It's intense, high drama, and also pretty exciting. I don't want to give anything away because
Right.
it's such a great scene, but that was I felt like that was my very big day on set. So
Is it different than theater? Did you find it just different, a different set of muscles? that you're
yeah,
building, or
for sure. I think, theater is so external, and so the trick is always to bring it in and do the thinking, and which is enough, as opposed to the emoting outwards. So I know as a theater actor, for me, it's always about checking that, and making sure that it's not too much,
Well, I can't wait for people to see it. I'm going to ask, because Christoph, we might lose you at any moment. I know you're on your data plan. I'm asking the actors to maybe turn off their cameras and let the crew take center stage right now, because this hardworking team rarely gets the accolades that they deserve. But here I am with my producers, my co-writer, cinematographer, and editor. And can we just talk a little bit about the process of making it? Let's talk Jen, Emily, and Laura, the actual physical making of the film, because you were there in a combination of film coop every day on set. So what was that like? And you don't have to be, you don't have to be nice. Like, there are filmmakers watching this, and it would be great to tell them.
Yeah, I mean, we had a
real
lot of
challenges that went into it.
we had a lot of set shifts, and pretty much every day we rarely stayed at one location. So that was like, get her done, getting out of there and moving it. Some of my funny and fond memories are like our production office was wherever it could be. One time it was in a bathroom. One time it was in the furnace room. So you're just kind of shifting that way.
The furnace room was a luxury. It had a door on it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it was
fancy.
amazing. Yeah.
Any other thoughts come to mind for you in making it, Jen or Laura?
Laura, do you have a particular? I don't know if Oslo is completely asleep and you can speak or not.
Sleep. It's fine. Oh man. I'm just trying to think. I just remember it. I always felt like I was in a tornado. I always felt like, okay, there's this that's happening. It's going well. So now I have to go over here and make sure that we're going to get ahead in the next location. Dealing with craft services and food and catering, and just making sure all the gear could get from place to place and people could get from place to place. I just remember feeling just like.
And the changeover from Kelly Carney to Josh Airy on locations, because we had 35 locations.
Yeah, I would say you nailed it, and Laura, with that, like the location shifts. We average 3 locations a day, and if anybody's made a film, you know that's nuts. Like, that's nuts. So it's just constant motion, constant trying to get what we needed to get so we could move on to the next thing, so we could get our day in a regular time frame.
And basically we broke like every indie film rule, of like one location, 4 actors, just take it easy when you first start.
Also, Warren was very specific with his request for production cars, like vehicles, picture vehicles that we had. So like all of a sudden one day you'd be like, I need a red smart car.
I remember that day.
And it didn't even make the movie.
And Laura found it. Yeah. And it didn't even make the cut of the movie, Warren. Yeah.
Well, coming off of those tier A DGC episodic TV shows, as a director, you kind of get used to,
you get used to getting what you want.
They don't just come out of air.
Well, the really great thing was, I think, Emily, you really summed it up. It was an intense shoot. We did not have a lot of time. We were doing 11 plus 1, basically 12-hour days with a 1-hour lunch, doing 3 set shifts. I mean, we would be doing sometimes 12 pages a day with fight scenes and cello performances and skating scenes. So
Yeah, guns, blood, like
yeah.
And then we'd go home and make the call sheets and print all the sides for the following day. So it was nonstop. We needed 40 hours in a day to make this.
Yeah.
We didn't have that, so we just
Well, I'm moving my way through. Let's go to Gary and just talk about the original idea of doing something very small and contained, 1 or 2 locations, and like a 3 or 4 person cast. What happened to that little idea that everybody was telling us to do?
We're not good at that. Like, I don't know. It kept, every time we would come up with an idea, we didn't reject it just because we should have. We said, no, this is a good story point. We should do this. And then before we knew it, we had, the movie we had, which was a lot bigger than anyone, well, Emily in particular, I recall, was saying, no, you can't do that. No, we can't do that. We can't be on this roof. It's like, oh no. Yeah, it was it was great. I mean, in terms of what was accomplished, I think it was spectacular. But
I think we had a conversation early on. You flew out to Halifax when I was doing This Hour's 22 Minutes,
Yeah.
and we did like a 2-week, like a week and a half or 2 weeks of writing on this. And we kind of tried to start really small, like maybe a horror film or something, in one house or whatever. And I think we started really early on saying, we got to do better. We got to push, if we're going to use our own money, use our own time, use all the favors we have in the world, let's swing for the fences. And that really resonated with me,
I think we really wanted to showcase what we could do, and if we had 4 actors in a haunted house, it was just too limiting for what we really want to do. Plus, from what I recall, we always want to write things that we want to see and that we think are fun. And not to say I don't enjoy horror films, I do, but they're just not as fun as this movie. Like this.
Well, we always wanted to capture Hamilton the way we know it,
Oh,
right?
for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, you live downtown West End, but like we know the East End.
Right.
I know the mountain. I know the divide sometimes that occurs, and we wanted to use that metaphor in the film.
Yeah, like line crossing and stuff.
Can I say something?
Yes, Jen, of course.
I wanted to shout out Hamilton because, I mean, we're all this talk about locations. Like, we couldn't have done it had we not done it in Hamilton. And I don't think it's any secret that Hamilton's a great place to shoot anymore, unfortunately. I feel like we were one of the first, because you guys knew it so well, the ins and the out, and Christoph knew it so well. It was a dream. It was a dream location.
Yeah,
we got everything we wanted. Mm-hmm.
And I found it pretty interesting that we would write things and then sort of almost not knowing that we were writing a specific location and would come across, go, yeah, it was this place. This is it. This is where we're filming. Like the end scenes, where the way it unfolded. I mean, people who come see the film will understand what I'm talking about, but you couldn't have come up with that better than we did in terms of the way it is actual real. Like you could actually have done what we did at the end of the movie as real in terms of the location, which I think is pretty interesting.
It certainly becomes a character, and that's what we kind of wanted as we were writing it. Jen just threw down to Christoph. Christoph, you have a fan club happening out there in Facebook world as well. Our wonderful friend Florence says you're a gem, and also Harpreet and Andrew, shout out to Max and Theo. There's some talented leads there. Rebecca Catley, Anna, your mom asked if she can buy the soundtrack. It's coming. Avi's doing some work right now. He's prepping 3 movies, so I'm going to go to Christoph next. So Avi, you keep working on your spreadsheets there. But Christoph, you have a lot of people hopefully hoping that you get better. But let's talk a little bit about the shooting of the film, because it was intense. Can you for the filmmakers and for some of the emerging cinematographers out there, what was the process of getting ready and shooting something like Things I Do for Money? No. Oh, there you go. I got you. Yep. Yeah.
It's pretty wild. And going back to what Laura said about it being a tornado, but like really, that's kind of, I love working in that environment. So it was insane, and it was a lot of stress for sure, but it was also a lot of fun, and it made us use our time really well, I thought. but like I remember, because obviously it was my first feature, but not my first film. Like I did a lot of short films, and we used to do these 24-hour
award-winning short films. Chesterfield is one of my favorite films ever, and you created, and that's how I met Jake, who is in the film, in the This Ain't Hollywood scene, because I loved your movie. That was kind of the movie that's like, I want to work with Christoph.
A really fun movie too. But we've often been criticized, like the people that I like to make movies with, on making movies that shouldn't be, like everyone's always like, oh, just pick one location and just, do a scene study kind of thing for a short film. But we're always like, no, we should have like the bank robbery, and then they go to the security footage, and then, like the car chase. And so I just like love working in that environment. And this movie was just that to a T for 13 days straight. I think it was at least 2 locations a day. So it would be like show up to a location, basically pre-light, but then start shooting, and then pack up and go to the next location. We were doing 2 unit moves every single day.
And big scenes, just big scenes, like 6-page, 7-page scenes.
Shout out to the talent on camera, because I think you only notice these things when they're not doing a good job. But when you're moving so fast and you only have so much time to capture stuff like that, the fact that everyone nailed their parts, like basically, I mean, aside from one particular scene, but for the most part, everybody really nailed it on the first take. Like I think we did like maybe 2 or 3 takes at the most every time, and the actors all knew.
Well, we do 2 or 3 takes and then move on to my 5th angle of coverage that I wanted.
We're never waiting on talent. We were like, I think it was just work like a really well-oiled machine across the whole spectrum.
Any tips or tricks that you learned shooting a feature that you want to pass on from a cinematographer's viewpoint?
Working with you, because I'm really fortunate to have worked with people like Nick and Andrew and other people who are in my team, and we have really good chemistry, and they almost know what I'm thinking without me even saying it. So like a lot of times I'll be thinking, okay, I want to switch to a 35, and I'll turn around and Nick's holding it there. Right. And like you only get that from working together with people a lot. And in the case of indie stuff, that means doing short films and fun projects together as a group. And the more you do that, the more you kind of like know what each other are thinking, and the less time you spend trying to explain stuff to people. Because in an indie movie world, you just don't have time for that. You have to be moving quick heels. So having a really good crew that you work well with is super key. And then also prepared. So
you can have less crew if you work well with them than more crew, and it's more chaotic, right?
So many different people. So in this case, it worked well to our advantage that it was a small but mighty crew. And then, like I said, being prepared. You don't want to show up to a location and start thinking about how you're going to light it when you're on this kind of a thing. Like that's why you do your location scouting, your tech scout, and you have a plan in mind, and you've already communicated that to your gaffer and your camera team, so that as soon as that you show up, like stuff starts happening and you can just be focusing on what you need to do. So
or those surprises come up where we actually had a tie shop, we had a men's dress shop in Hamilton all lined up to shoot in, and like the day before we're supposed to shoot it, the location dropped out, and we ended up shooting it in the house. And it's one of my favorite scenes, just because visually there's the dark door of Max coming out and the white door of Theo coming out, and like all the symbolism came out of this one moment. But we found that on the day, right? We're like, shit, I guess we're shooting the scene here at the house now.
Yeah, that is a great scene.
Something falls through. Yeah, you just got to be able to roll with the punches and adapt quickly and make decisions really quickly.
All right, I'm going to throw from the footage that Christoph shot to the editing prowess of Anna Catley. Can you tell some of the filmmakers watching this about, how do you, like, how much footage did you get? How did you organize it? And how did you get into the cut of Things to Do for Money?
Oh, how did I well, I organized it all by on sequences, basically. I'm a timeline editor, and it was 2 camera setup. So I had stacked takes on all my timelines, and basically once I kind of had organized everything and kind of gone through and marked the takes I liked best, it was basically just assembling scene by scene in little sequences, and then gradually they would kind of morph together, and I would add one scene to another, and then eventually I just had like, 5 really long assemblies, which became the movie. But it was basically just kind of globbing scenes onto other scenes until it all kind of came together.
And what was your thoughts going, like, because you were in Toronto while we were shooting, and we would,
Yeah.
Christoph would literally stay up all night transferring the drives over, which is not usually what the director of photography does, but you wanted the job done right. You sometimes have to do it yourself. You would get this footage. What was going through your mind in terms of like, did you know what you were going to get in terms of cutting?
No. I'd read the script and I knew it was going to be kind of bananas, but when it was all in front of you, it truly is kind of, it was a lot. I guess you guys, like you were talking about, you were constantly kind of shooting and moving from location to location. So there wasn't, obviously there was, slating happening and all of that, but like more often than not, you just keep rolling and resetting and things like that. And it resulted in a lot of footage. And I have to shout out Leah Lalick for helping me actually organize some of the key scenes in this film with lots of footage, like the bingo scene, which were some of the more challenging scenes to edit. But yeah, I definitely don't think I truly knew what I was getting into until I had all the drives in front of me and I had 10 giant drives in my living room for a year and a half.
Well, and then I kind of left you alone, right? Because I got another job
Yeah.
after, and it wasn't until you had the entire sort of editor's cut done where we were able to release it down and get into it. But how did you juggle the tone of the film? Because it's like Gary and I wrote a film that kind of goes in a lot of different directions, but you were able to kind of corral it into a focus. So how did you make those decisions before I even showed up in the edit suite?
It's a good question. I think I was most nervous.
Thank you, Anna. I'm a professional moderator, so
You're doing great. I think I started honestly with some of the big scenes I was most concerned about, just in terms from an editing perspective. So there's a scene where the boys are performing on a street corner and then there's like a heist happening in the background. There was a lot happening in that scene, a musical performance that has to be cut in an interesting way, parallel to a heist and kind of like coming together. So I started with scenes that kind of stood out to me as something that would be a bit of a challenge, and I would start with that and then kind of build around those. Yeah, and there are a lot of different kinds of like tones in the film, but I think that honestly it was just all done really well. I love narrative editing, and I think everything just kind of felt pretty natural.
I like that it turned out, I think Gary and I were both like, this is funnier than we thought it was going to be, right, Gary? It was like
yeah, like the way it was cut together, it really caught the tone that I think we're looking for. I mean, we were trying to do a bit of the black comedy, and when you're writing it, and even when you're filming it, you're not sure that it's actually going to carry through. And I thought Anna did a great job of bringing that out, like it really good. Like it was, when I was in the suite watching you, and I'd leave and go, wow, that's cool. That turned out really well. And so yeah, I was really happy.
Well, Oslo went to sleep, which means we can now go to Abby Fettergreen, and you can speak your mind without a baby hearing your words.
So Oslo's a limiting factor.
Abby, you're not just a veteran producer, but such a good friend of mine. We've been looking for a project to work on together. I brought you this with the expectation, I don't know what my expectation was, and for some reason you decided to come on board. Your expertise has been in the post side and the delivery side and the distribution side of the film. Can you talk about the back end of the movie and how we've had to pivot during COVID? Gail Harvey, wonderful director. Hey, Gail, asks, do we have a marketing and distribution plan now that we're in COVID? She thought that the drive-in idea was great, but can you talk about the challenge of Things I Do for Money once the movie was done shooting?
Yeah, I mean, with films, indie films in general, or films in general, I mean, the work just after you finish shooting, that's where everybody.
That's only 13 days. Yeah,
that's it. It's the work's done and you can move on. But it's there's a lot of work to be done. There was a lot of there was visual effects that had to be done. the post audio. Once Anna and everybody picture locked the film, we worked with Urban Post, the gang,
John Lang,
John
Mark,
Lang and Mark
yeah.
Gingras, and all the group and gang down there to help us get to the finish line. But again, even though, and that's still not the finish line, because even when we finished, we were all set to go. I had worked diligently to get us a 9-city theatrical release. And then, COVID happened and it blew it all up. And
we were going to premiere on April 8th. So we're on day 130, which means Friday the 13th of March was the day I think we all went into our quarantines. It was the day. It was the day after the NBA shut down. I mean, when Forrest Gump becomes the poster child or the poster boy of COVID, you know that it was going to get serious, and people were going to have to alter their lifestyles and the way they operated. But we couldn't have saw this coming, and we missed our theatrical by this much.
Yeah.
If we only released, a couple months earlier, we would have played in 9 cities across Canada.
And I mean,
it's pretty
honestly, like
incredible.
I still can't get over it, because this is what we all aspire to. We want to see our film on a big screen, which we'll see tomorrow night at a drive-in, which that in itself was a bit of stick handling to make happen. And I'm thankful to our partners at Raven Banner who were supportive of us, that we wanted to do a theatrical. We were supposed to then go digital right after a theatrical, and we put the brakes on everything in communication with them to ask that we push our digital release down the road a little bit, which they were gracious enough to do. So that's coming up very, very soon.
August 11th.
August 11th.
I mean, as soon as the credits roll tomorrow night at the drive-in theater, this whole team is in sort of August 11th promotion mode, where we're going to be coordinating some watch parties where we'll tell people when to start the movie, and then as soon as it's done, we'll do a little Q&A like this. But we can actually talk about it because those people would have seen the movie, and we could give away spoilers and stuff. Right now, no one's really seeing it except for the several hundred people at film festivals, right? And film festivals, Abby, are so important, but even that was cut off, right? So
yeah, so we were beat up like a dirty dog multiple times with this virus. So the theatrical was blown, festival opportunities blown. We were lucky we gotten a sales company on board for international sales and US sales before things really got nasty. And we're lucky through our friends at Evolutionary Films to help sell the film in the US through SP Releasing. So they're going to be doing they're doing a physical release and a digital release, and who knows, some other things. So all that's going on as well. And then we have some exciting news that we'll be letting everybody in on for the fall down the road. But it's been, listen, without the group of people that are sitting on this call and other people, like crazy Emily Andrews is giving me the cross eyes. She's nuts.
And our friends at Raven Banner,
Raven Banner,
Michael,
who's really,
James,
yeah, like, I mean, everybody over there, James, Michael, Andrew, and Ellie, everybody's like super awesome, and has with all these crazy things going on with COVID, they've just rolled with the punches, and our audience who has stuck with us through all this and our friends and our family have stuck through all of this, and listening to us complain and cry in their laps about all of this. My wife deserves the Purple Heart for listening to my fetching about, this whole thing falling apart, but yet being picked up again. And now it's the first time I've ever premiered a film at a drive-in.
And it's sold out. Yes.
Sold out.
Well, thank you, Abby. Thank you to my entire production crew for sticking with this, the patience that we had. I'm now going to ask you to turn your cameras off, and if my amazing cast can join me, we have a little bit more time to talk, and I would like to talk to my cast about making things to do for money, because in a lot of ways, the heart and soul of the movie are all of you. The heart and soul is the music that Max and Theo created. The heart and soul are the performances that the cast made. I made a Facebook post recently, and this is to my four Japanese brothers in arms on this call. Things I Do for Money is the first Canadian genre film written and directed, or co-written and directed by a Japanese Canadian, starring four Japanese Canadian actors, that has been sold to the United States. And in fact, it could very well be the first Japanese Canadian genre film of its kind ever. I'm wondering, Rhett, Ed, Max, and Theo, what does that mean to you? I know, maybe Rhett, you can go first, because you're in the film industry. You've been a cinematographer for decades now. What does that mean to be a part of something? It's a bit of a dubious honor, right? Because you would think there would have been dozens by now.
Yes. And actually, Warren, it's good time to bring it up is the fact that I do want to ask you a question at the end of this to you, a question towards you, being a Japanese Canadian as well. I just got to quickly say that the reason I came onto this project in the first place was that I saw Warren posting, I think it was on Facebook, saying they're looking for a Japanese actor to play the father of these kids. And I've worked in the industry
40 something, that father age, right?
And I've worked in the industry for over 30 years, and I thought, I've only seen one Japanese actor in over 30 years. I don't know who you're going to find. So I literally said, Warren.
And I can't afford Hiro Kanagawa. Like, we weren't at that level, right? So.
Exactly. So I said, Warren, I will come and audition for you just because I really, I've known you for like 12 or 14 years or something. And I said, I want to help you make this film because I also know, being of Japanese heritage, that it's great to have Japanese people in a film. So I said, I'll come out and audition for you, even though I've been 30 years on the other side of the camera. I've seen actors do it. I think I can maybe stumble my way through it. And so this is, like, as you said, it's a first. I mean, it was the first time I was in the film as well, but I only, because of the context of this film, began to see how little representation there had been for Japanese generally in the film industry,
right?
Or in films. And I think I said this after the experience, which is why I do more acting now than DOP work, since Things I Do for Money, is that I would become an actor 25 years ago if I saw lots of other Japanese actors in North America that say, oh yeah, I can be like so-and-so or so-and-so. I didn't see any examples, so I actually didn't think it was even possible.
Right. Ed, being the other sensei on this Zoom, what's it like for you in terms of, where'd he go? He just left. Ed, you have to turn your camera back on.
Yeah, I pushed the wrong button.
What are your thoughts on that?
When I heard the news, I thought that's amazing. That's fantastic. It's kind of sad because it's the first and it's 2020. But I have to say as well, Warren, that when I was working on the film, I didn't think of it as a Japanese film. You weren't. This wasn't pushed like this is going to be something ethnic.
Right.
It just felt like a film, and it just felt like, hey, we're just doing something, and it felt really good. So when I heard it, I thought, hey, that's fantastic. And also, it's not fantastic because it's so 2020, it's 21st century. But I have to admit that when working with you, working with everybody, it just didn't feel like we're promoting an ideal or like an ethnic agenda. We're just making something that was going to be good.
That's an important point, Ed. It's like, I think it's important. I'm a filmmaker. And this happens to be about a Japanese family, a Japanese Canadian family. And I think one of the ways subversively to have representation on film is to start to go into spaces that might have otherwise been traditionally, maybe dominated by sort of the white crime filmmakers, the Michael Manns, the Coen brothers, the, brilliant filmmakers, David Fincher, but just give it a different perspective. And maybe Colette, you can. I know it's late in the UK, so thank you for hanging in with us. But what's it like looking at something like Things Are Due for Money, where you get to play basically the criminal kingpin of an entire city. You know, is that a role that you normally get? What's it? You know, what goes through your head when you
I should be so lucky. No, no, that was another reason that when I read the script, I just was like, yeah, no, there's nobody else going to play. Nobody else is going to get to play this. I need to play this part, because that script would never, ever see the light of day here. Maybe now, maybe after Black Lives.
Yeah.
Because I am in such high demand at the moment that I'm actually complaining about how many self-tapes I have to do.
Right.
Because I have to do them by myself. I don't know why people send you scripts with 3 or 4 people and they call it a self-tape.
Right.
How does that work?
Right. Well,
But
it's great that they're asking for you, but you know what I loved about how this whole team came together is I don't think we went into this saying we're going to make the definitive Japanese Canadian movie. We wanted to make a good movie, right? But you know, in terms of what I'm very proud of is in terms of the representation. I mean, look at this Zoom call right now. This is phenomenal, right? Like we're all friends. We all went through a wonderful journey. But you know, maybe Yoda, you can tell me a little bit about how you feel about seeing you know, your character on screen, and it just tell me a little bit about your thoughts when you saw it.
Yeah, like definitely when reading the script and just putting in work into the film, it was really great to see my type of character on screen and in such a important role, because it was like for one of the first times seeing my type of character on screen not being the token.
Right.
And that was really incredible, to be viewed as like one of the main characters and to have a real voice was an opportunity that I don't think would have arose for me in this time.
Well, and you know, it is, tokenism is a thing that you do see sometimes, not just in films, but in creative art, where you know, you might have an Asian character, or you might have a black character, but they're the only ones, or they play, you know, an archetype as a backup. But both you, Yoda, Laura in the movie, you basically kind of do almost all the big narrative moves within the film. And when you read that in the script, did that excite you when you were able to go like, well, this is the important thing that's happening right now?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think being able to see myself as a main character was kind of a childhood dream, and really made me want to step up to the plate and serve the best that I could do for my first time being in a film.
Dax and Jennifer, what was it like for you to kind of get the script, start working with the cast, and knowing that this is the slice of life that, you know, Gary and I wanted to show of Hamilton, that is not just diverse, but kind of electric and kinetic. Jen, you're nodding right now, so maybe I'll ask you first. What were your thoughts?
Well, when I first read the script, I thought it's just an incredible, amazing, action-packed story, but there's so much more there as well. And I think you really captured the grit of Hamilton. I just want to say that it was such an honor to get to work with all of these actors, and it was such an honor. The first time I read the part, I thought, I feel honored as a woman of a certain age to have the opportunity to have a role where I feel kind of invisible these days in terms of my age specifically,
right,
on camera, and to have the opportunity to work with it's a very juicy part. You gave me a lot to do, and it was really exciting to be a part of the family, the Things I Do for Money family. I loved how you used all of the sort of landmark Hamilton locations and captured kind of the heart and the grit of Hamilton as well. And
you know,
kind
you bring up a good point. Yeah, you bring up a good point in terms of ageism too, right? Where you know, if there was a role that was Mary Yaguchi, it might be, you know, 10 years younger than your partner that you're supposed to be with, right? So we were very sort of aware of that, and especially Colette. I mean, that's why we wrote your characters. We wanted to see you. We wanted to see the Brenda that you brought to life, and show that, you know, actors of all ages can be powerful.
Yeah, I've been kind of doing a bit of that this year, changing people's perspectives on what they think. It's their idea of a granny.
Right.
The word granny for them just means little old lady in a cardigan.
Right.
But you can be a
or a joke, or just the end of a joke, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much more.
Yeah, there is so much more, and they're having to reassess exactly who they cast for those parts now.
Right.
So I'm still getting cast as a granny, and I'm still getting cast as 80 and 70-year-old grannies, but they don't feel that inclined to put makeup on me and make me wrinkly and old and whatever, because I might not be.
Right. Well, hopefully more roles like Brenda, where you can really kick some butt. Dax and Danilo, I found it fascinating. Again, the journey that both your characters take with Alexi and Gonzo, but through the lens of Things I Do for Money. And since we're talking about representation, how do you interpret your roles in the film? Maybe Danilo, you can go first. And we you know, Dylan, it was great. We were able to kind of talk a little bit about this a couple weeks ago when we were all just kind of touching base. But, you know, tell me what you're thinking, man.
Well, it was a great role. It was an interesting role. I like how Gonzo is, although he's part of this crime family, you wouldn't necessarily think of him as an evil guy. He's actually a kind of an intelligent, cool guy who kind of wakes up in the morning and he does his job. That's why he's doing it. Brenda gives him a call and he has something to do, and he wants to do it to the best of his ability, not because he might want to hurt anyone or because he has that kind of evil spirit. It's just he's just kind of like strangely a hardworking, diligent guy, and cool. And I really like in the story how there was that clash between Gonzo and Dax and Alexi, because Alexi, although I also answer to Alexi, it's almost like I have to keep him in check versus
in control. Yeah, you have to keep him under
although
control.
He's my boss. So that was cool. That added you know, kind of a tension, which was humorous and serious at the same time.
Well, we had a conversation we were putting together. I mean, we really didn't want to fall into the sort of trope of gangsters, right? I mean, your Gonzo is so unique, and with even with you, Ed, it's like never do we mention the word Yakuza, right? Like, we didn't want to fall into these tropes that if it's a black family in Hamilton, they have to be the black gangsters. You're just a family trying to really get to that next level, and that was important. And even with you, Dax, the scene that Gary and I were really proud of, and both you and Danilo and Laura and Mary Houston were fantastic in it, was your home, your house scene, because we wanted to show a different side of Alexi. So in terms of the lens of that, what are your feelings on Alexi Raduli?
I just love the way that the film was both a really complex plot-driven farce, if you will, but at the same time, you also have those moments of realism where you see the realness of Alexi, and you know, he might be a bad guy, but he also has a sensitive side, and we see that dynamic in his character as we do in a lot of the other characters in the film. So I think a lot of people are going to be surprised with that experience. It's not just one thing that they're going to be getting. It's a very thorough experience.
Well, I'm leaving the last two actors on this Zoom square for my last question. We can't finish this until we talk about the music. Max and Theo, can you talk about the music of Things I Do for Money? People saw it in the trailer that started. You'll hear more of it as we release the soundtrack later on this year. But it's a part of the movie, and it's a big part. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I think the very first conversation we had, Warren, that was with you and Gary, at Gary's house, putting together the idea of what's going to be sort of a kind of main piece. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say that we played Shell in the movie. That makes,
No,
makes
it's
sense.
basically in every single picture, every single video we show, right?
But
you're not bad. I mean, you guys are okay.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah. And we were kind of saying, okay, what kind of piece are we going to be putting here as like the kind of title piece for the movie? And I think we were originally talking about maybe of a Vivaldi double cello concerto, which is a very classic. Any cellist would know, that's the standard.
Yeah.
And I remember that you were telling us about, okay, here's the script, and we needed to fit 5 pages, which is around 5 minutes. And has to have this kind of level of intensity, and it's got to follow the story, and it's got to
it's the climax of the movie, basically. It's everything about the film coming into this 5-minute chunk,
right? And many narratives going on there, and so you needed a type of music with a lot of different narratives as well, and something with that much intensity. And
you're like, it's not fucking Vivaldi.
So we had to do our own thing.
Right.
And I remember we were talking, and kind of we tried a whole bunch of stuff, and we got into writing some cello, kind of 2 cello pieces ourselves.
That was nuts. Like we just dropped everything for like 3 days and just like played cello all day. And
we have to put this in perspective. We are like 2 months away from shooting the movie, right? And you needed it to have all this music written because you were going to perform it on screen, so you had to sync up to what the song was going to be. You had to basically write a virtuoso cello piece in a week, basically.
You know what? Speaking of that virtuoso cello piece too, because there is a like he's the main cellist for the kind of certain parts of it that are very, very technically difficult, like in the story, but also in real life we can't play it very well. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
And anytime we go out and we go to festivals and kind of play as part of the promotion, it's very nerve-wracking because oh my goodness, it's tough.
Oh, the most nerve-wracking part.
Well, Gary and I both said, write a piece actual cellists will watch and go, that's good.
Oh,
right.
And what? One thing we can say for sure is that cellists will watch this and say like that shouldn't have been written like that. It's too tough. Like there should be other ways to do that.
Right.
So it was amazing. It was an incredible experience, and also composing all of the background music for the film too was insane.
That was the year after everything's all done. We think, oh, dust settled, time to kick back, relax. Oh no, Warren just sent us an email. We got to do 50 cues right now.
No, I think the entire month of the May before we finished up the mix, I think we had finished like 3 tracks, and then you sent us emails saying that's great, 47 more.
Yes, there's like, God. I think there's over 50 cues. We reused a couple of them, but it was 50 actual new discrete music cues. So for people at home, Max and Theo are first time music scorers, composers for feature films. So that was something.
Oh, it was incredible. It was an amazing experience and kind of a little addictive too.
I would like to invite my crew back on camera to join this wonderful cast. I do know that we're almost at our time, so if we can all come back. I think baby Oslo's already gone to sleep, so Laura might not join us. Christoph Benfey was using his data plan. How much is this going to cost, Christoph? This must be like a $300 call for you. Oh, you got your mute on. Okay. Listen, this has been fantastic. Everybody can take their microphones off. If everyone just kind of wants to say a little goodbye, we are very, very happy to have a bit of a reunion right now.
Thank you, everyone. We love you. Can't wait to see you at the drive-in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I don't get to go.
Oh, Colette.
See you
Colette.
later.
You'll be there in spirit.
See you guys tomorrow.
we got to come to the UK, Colette. We'll be there
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And
the
thank you
driving-
to
Social distance from my car, all of you. Social distance from my car.
thank you to our incredible community for all turning up. Like, I can't believe how quickly we sold out. That's like it's amazing.
Yeah, that's
So
going to be
exciting.
awesome.
I believe it. It's Hamilton, you know, people
Yeah.
come out and support here. Like, just people are so excited about it. And Warren and Jen and the whole crew, you guys did such a great job of incorporating and getting the community involved and getting people in the Hamilton
Shout
community.
out to the Japanese Canadian Center in Hamilton, the Japanese Cultural Center. You both are fantastic, April and Chris. We shot so many scenes at the Japanese Cultural Center there. So many places in Hamilton people are going to see tomorrow night. We can't wait. I'm knocking on wood for the weather gods to be on our side. It has been up to now. So after that, August 11th, everybody. My cast and crew, look for an email because we're going to be setting up some watch parties where we won't have all of us like this. This is kind of a one-time deal only because it's tough with all our schedules. I know Colette, it must be 8 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock in the morning right now for you. But we will do some watch parties when we release August 11th and later on that week. But until then, let's do a little picture of everybody while we have everybody here. All right, this is Things I Do for Money. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Love to everybody. Fantastic. All right, and we will see you at the movies. Have a great night, everybody.
You guys take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Love
See you
you.
soon.
Bye, everybody.
I love you.
Bye.
Bye. We'll talk soon.
Houston, ground control. You can go back to the ground.